Welcome back. We're here at DeLoach Vineyards in our brand new Appellation tasting room. You may notice around us, we are surrounded by profiles of all of our great vineyard designate growers, as well as samples from their vineyards. It's a great new tasting experience we have here, and today we are going to taste through some of the wines from your May Club shipment with our winemaker, Maloney.
Thanks, Laura. So the first wine we're going to try today is the 2011 Estate Pinot Noir. That's coming from the property right here. This is a really exciting wine for everyone at the winery because it's our own vineyard. It's what we replanted back in 2005. Had our first harvest in 2010, a very small harvest that year. A little bit more to work with in 2011 as the vineyard's matured, and I think this is a great example of what that wine's potential is going forward. So aromatically to me, what really comes out is the perfume of this wine, and that's one of the signatures, I think, of the estate. We were able to do a whole cluster fermentation with one of the clones, the 828, in 2011. Really gives a lot of spice, a lot of just really interesting aromatic characteristics. So things that I think really are part of our signature, but also something that shows how special this area is, that we can get those ripe stems and able to utilize them in the fermentation. We aged this wine for just over a year in barrel. Really gives it a lot of complexity on the palate, and well, we'll take a sip. You just get that silkiness right along the way. When you have nice ripe tannins to work with, excuse me, it's coming all the way through. When you have nice ripe tannins to work with, that silkiness is coming from the stem tannins that we have, and I mean it's part of that coatingness, that fullness, that richness that we look for with Pinot Noir from the Olivet area, and I think just a fantastic example of what a great vineyard can do in a vintage like 2011. So thank you. Enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. The next fabulous wine in your May 2014 club shipment is our 2011 Ritchie Vineyard Chardonnay. What can you tell us about this, Brian?
Well, the Ritchie Vineyard is, in my opinion, and I think a lot of winemakers' opinion, the prototypical Russian River Valley Chardonnay vineyard. It's essentially centrally located in the valley itself. It's on a little bit of a ridge line where you have both the interaction between those sandstone-based soils as well as volcanic intrusions from the Sonoma Volcanics. So it's kind of a fascinating mix of terroirs, much like the Russian River is, but also its location and the climate around it really is ideal for growing great wines. Kent has been part of our program going now almost on a decade. We've been really good partners with him. He's been a great partner with us. We've worked with Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc all off his vineyard. This bottle in particular comes from two older blocks that we've worked with for some time, both on the southern part of the property, on the terrace portion of the vineyard. One is an aromatic clonal selection we call the C clone, and the other is the Old Wente selection, which is just a fabulous old California Chardonnay selection. The two of them combined together to make this wine. And a little bit of it goes into the OFS as well, but the Ritchie is always one of our favorite wines and one of what we think is the best examples of Russian River Chardonnay. Aromatically, this is always a complex wine because it starts off with a lot of fruit characteristics. You know, you get those kind of golden delicious apples and gravensteins and things like that coming off, but then there's a spice component that really is coming from that C clone, that really high-toned spiciness that really accentuates the rest of the wine. And then matched with the barrel fermentation we do on this just lends, you know, those typical barrel spice notes, you know, the vanilla, the more candied aspects to the wine really coming from those barrels. And then on the palate, you just have that minerality, you have that balance. You have the nice retention of acidity, even though this is a full malolactic wine. Just really nice creaminess that leaves stirring for a little bit of extended aging just really benefits this. And I think makes one of our signature Chardonnays and one that we're always happy to share with people. So enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. The final wine in your club selection is our 2010 Vanderkamp Vineyard Pinot Noir. How about this one, Brian?
Well, the Vanderkamp Vineyard is, again, much like the Ritchie Vineyard that we were just tasting, a touchstone site to me. It's one of the oldest plantings of Pinot Noir in Sonoma County. Martin and Ulysses and the family have been there for decades now, really have been able to refine their craft on that mountain and planted it to a whole selection of different clones that we work with, each one suited to the microclimates and soil types that are very diverse throughout the site. 2010 was a challenging vintage. It started off very cold and then it got quite hot at the end, and so I think this makes a wine of some extremes, to be honest. I mean, there's just this tannic structure that's incredibly brooding on this and just asking to be laid down for years and years. But then you taste it and you have this sweet fruit profile that comes out. that's really, I think, a signature of the 2010s, how they had that heat at the end that really gave them a little bit more richness, a little bit more depth. It makes a fascinating wine, and I think one of our best expressions of Vanderkamp so far. Aromatically, you have those high-tone resinous aromatics that are very common to the Vanderkamp vineyard. There's something about the elevation of that site that really you get more of that, pine duff and those more, herbal aromatics, very pretty herbal aromatics that really contrast to kind of the raspberry fruit characteristic you get from this wine as well. And then on the palate, you have that structure along with the lusciousness. You have these tannins that just go on and on. But then you have that sweet fruit and just that mid palate that really holds up and just carries as well. Just fantastic wine. I had a great time tasting this wine with Dixie and Martin a couple months back, and just it's showing an absolutely wonderful profile. And I think it's one of our best examples of what we've done with Vanderkamp. So enjoy. Terrific vintage, terrific vineyard. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, thanks for joining Brian and I today and tasting through your May Club shipment. And Brian, thanks for joining us as well.
Well, thank you, Laura, for having me here. And everyone, please stop by. Come see our new Appellation tasting room and all the new experiences at DeLoach. We're looking forward to having you here. Cheers. Cheers.